Hey, Curtis.
Hey, Oz.
What are we watching this week?
This week, we're watching Legends of the Fall meets Arrested Development meets Street Fighter 2, the video game, not the movie. This week is Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
Legends of the... Well, yeah, I can see it. Legends of the Fall.
They're all after the same girl.
Yep, they are. Arrested. Yeah, I didn't know where you're going with that one, but you got me there. So. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of your favorite podcast, Let's Talk About Flicks.
I know it's my favorite podcast.
Well, I know. I was talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Because you're the listener that I refer to.
I am the listener, yes.
We're back with another month, another week of our esteemed award-winning podcast. Nobody's proven these things, so I'll give it an award.
It's not the esteemed award-winning podcast.
Exactly. So I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
And I'm Curtis.
And we have got our kickoff to March Movies About Music podcast. And we're just going to jump right into it. So you mentioned we're watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World. What year was this? 2010?
This was 2010. Yes, 2010. Edgar Wright.
Oh, I love Edgar Wright.
Yep.
You know, Edgar Wright
sandwich of Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead.
Yep.
Sandwich between movies 2 and 3 of his Cornetto trilogy.
Yes. So if you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, or is it End of the World? Is that the name of it? At World's End. At World's End.
Yes, there we go.
At World's End. You know,
actually,
check them out.
Is that a pirate movie?
Yeah,
I don't know. Something about the end of the world.
Yeah,
I always forget about that one.
It's the third one.
The third Cornetto movie.
It's good. I've seen it, but it's not as memorable as the other two.
Correct.
And so, yeah, but this is, like you said, sandwiched right between them. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, special effects laden, comic bookish, video game-ish, a lot of fun.
A lot of ish movie.
And I've got a lot of characters to get through, so let me run through them.
Yeah, you do.
We start with our titular Scott Pilgrim. He's our protagonist and bass player of Sex Bob-Omb. We have the love interest of the movie, Ramona Flowers. She has hair like this. Just a scribble. She's the love interest with she's got a lot of baggage,
that's one way to put it.
That Scott has to work his way through.
7 bags in particular.
7 bags. Has to check a lot of them at the gate. We got Scott's roommate, Wallace Wells, his homosexual roommate, played by Kieran Culkin. He's easily the
scene stealer.
Yeah,
scene stealer.
The best of the Culkin acting family. Scott Pilgrim, played by Michael Cera. His sister, Stacy Pilgrim, who's just his sister, Stacy Pilgrim. She's a lot of fun. She's just there. Anna Kendrick plays her.
Yeah, younger sister who acts like a big sister.
Yes. We've got Julie Powers, which I have her down. She's the frenemy of Scott with connections. Like,
yes.
she hates Scott, yet she's constantly like in his clique.
Business.
Yeah, she's like in his clique.
Briefly, I read someplace that her backstory is that she's actually in love with Scott.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
But hates him because he doesn't reciprocate.
Right, I could easily see that. I got that vibe from her through the whole movie anyway. Other band members of Sex Bob-Omb, we have Kim Pine, drummer, former girlfriend of Scott Pilgrim, like 7th grade. And it seems like none of these matter. Like, I had a 7th grade girlfriend, and I remember her name, but like she didn't matter. But like every girl in Scott Pilgrim's past matters.
Everyone matters.
We got Steven Stills, the front man of Sex Bob-Omb. We've got Young Neil, the backup bass, and just kind of
love that name, Young Neil.
Just kind of groupie.
Yep.
And we've got Scott's ex, Natalie Envy Adams, played by Captain Marvel. And then we have Scott's current girlfriend, Knives Chow. He's his high school girlfriend that is far more mature than he actually is. So you mentioned Arrested Development in the movie notes, and there is a lot of Arrested Development in Scott Pilgrim's life. I do like the relationship. I looked this up, that the actress who played Knives Chow is actually 3 years older than Michael Cera. So, that I swallowed that well. I was like, okay, I can allow their gross high school relationship to matter because she's actually an older actress.
Well, yeah. Well, he's 20. Well, in the movie, he's 22 and she's 17, and everyone gives him crap for it.
Yeah. It's not something that's accepted in the movie. Like, everybody gives him crap.
Everyone calls him out for it.
Yes. And so now, we mentioned earlier all of these 7 bags of Ramona's past. Without diving into too much of plot, Scott has to defeat all 7 of her evil exes to win her
Quite
heart.
literally defeat.
Right. Yeah, not win them over, but actually fight them. Whew. All right, let me get to these 7 evil exes. We've got Matthew Patel, evil ex number 1. We have Lucas Lee, evil ex number 2, played by Chris Evans of Captain America fame. We've got Todd Ingram, evil ex number 3. He's vegan and played by Brendan Routh of Superman Returns fame. Yep. So he's got Michael Cera is not a physical specimen, but yeah, we've got 3 different superheroes that are kind of nemesis in this movie. He doesn't fight all 3 of them, but we've got his 4th evil ex, Roxy Richter, who's also in a parallel universe his girlfriend in Arrested Development.
Her?
Yeah, exactly. Her? Roxy Richter's the 4th evil ex. And then we've got 5 and 6 as a package deal. The Katayanagi twins. they're the Daft Punk twins. They're the Daft Punk boyfriends in her past. And then finally, last but not least, we've got Gideon Graves, the 7th evil ex and the founder of the League of Evil Exes. He's G-Man in the movie.
Yes, big record executive.
Played by Scott Schwartzman. Is it Scott?
Jason Schwartzman.
Jason. Why? I think I've looked at so many like alliteration names written down here that Jason Schwartzman.
Yes.
Of the Coppola family.
Yes, of the vast expansive Coppola family.
Yes, he is he's Rocky and Adrian's child. Talia Shire's son, Jason Schwartzman. Yes. So, all right, that's it for our podcast, folks. We'll
see you next week.
Spend the entire runtime talking about the characters. All right, I'm going to catch my breath and let you dive into the plot.
Yes, put your oxygen mask on there. Ooh. So right before Oz and I got started here, pre-show, we were talking about how this movie could be a breeze to talk about or could be just layered. Yeah. So we're going to do our best to keep things as tight as we can without missing anything, because so much in the movie is visual in its storytelling.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's almost dizzying in some ways to keep up with it. Which is, again, I think much more good than bad. Yeah. But, trying to describe it and narrate a movie like this, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, I guess.
Well, and it gives a branch to I mean, it is a comic book movie. Scott Pilgrim is based on, Japanese comic books. And so it is a comic book movie. But you've got a very splintered genre of comic book movie. Because when we think comic book movie, we think Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. We think the action
superhero.
We think superhero action comics. But obviously there's a whole nother line of comics, and this falls in that line, but also falls in that line of comic book movie that shoots it like a comic book. So we see it here. We see a little bit of it in Ang Lee's Hulk, but we see a lot of it in Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys, also with Kieran Culkin, where you actually see panels and, it's very comic book looking. And so it fits that mold. But which makes it a very visual medium. All right, I'm going to shut up again.
So we open on an 8-bit version of the Universal theme. Which I think is great. It really sets the tone for the whole movie.
Yeah, and if you don't like that, then turn it off, because this movie's not going to be for you.
No, an 8-bit Universal theme, along with kind of Nintendo, Super Nintendo-esque, music that accompanies it. Yeah, we are set in Toronto, shot in Toronto, which is very important because this movie reminds you over and over that they're Canadian.
Yes. Yeah.
We see Scott at a table with his bandmates, so we immediately get introduced to Kim, to young Neil, and to Steven. And they're all giving Scott a hard time for Scott being 22 and dating the 17-year-old high school student Knives.
Yes.
Knives arrives. They ask if she's cool. They start playing, and the opening credits roll.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little sequence.
yeah.
It jumps in, so much energy. This movie is so energetic. And you get some of the great music in this movie right off the bat. Speaking of music, Beck, as in Odelay Beck, did the music
I did not know that.
Yeah, for Sex Bob-Omb.
Oh. Yeah, I did. I actually did. I didn't read the trivia of this one just because I find I spoil myself a lot because I'll read the trivia right afterwards. But I'm like, I'm a fountain. I'm an empty fountain ready to be filled with trivial knowledge.
But yeah, Beck did the music for it, and I have a feeling this is going to come up later on in the show. But the music in this movie is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of it is original music. Written specifically for these fictional bands to play in this movie. It's so great. We get the credits roll. We see a lot of X's on screen. Mm-hmm. Kind of foretelling the battles with the X's coming up. I love the Kim character as well, the drummer who never blinks. You don't see her blink in the entire movie.
She just stares everywhere. It's just staring, but it's not creepy. It's just
that's who she is. Yeah. Every song they do, she counts down 1, 2, 3, 4, just screaming at the top of her lungs. I absolutely love it.
And she's reserved 100% of the rest of her time.
Yeah,
and she always starts counting off when it's almost like no one's ready for it yet.
Well, because she knows the rest of her bandmates are all like aloof and scattered in their own ways. Like young Neil technically isn't in the band, at least at the beginning, and he's just kind of there.
Yeah.
And Steven is too worried about like getting a record deal and being paranoid about whatever he decides to be paranoid about at that moment. And Scott's just full of himself.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said that Steven's more worried about being a band than actually being in a band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's well stated. Kim has a line right at the beginning that I love because it really kind of summarizes Scott's character as the movie opens, and she tells him, "Scott, if your life had a face, I would punch it."
And Michael Cera plays this role like it was just perfectly. He's so pathetic. Because he's got no self-value until he needs it.
Well, and he's so self-absorbed, which it's a weird combination of like no value, no self-respect, but also he's still yet self-absorbed and doesn't, is incapable of empathy and seeing outside of himself. It's all about him all the time.
Right.
And he has such a low bar for himself too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a weird dynamics as a character, but again, Michael Cera makes it work so well. Mm-hmm. Scott arrives home and we're introduced to Wallace.
I love Wallace.
Kieran Culkin. Wallace. So Scott is heterosexual. Wallace is homosexual, and they make sure to let you know that right away. As Wallace continues to talk about just his sexuality, which is refreshing to hear it.
Yeah.
And
they
Scott says
they share a bed.
They do. They literally sleep in the same bed.
Right. And it's fine.
Yeah, it's just how they live, and that's fine. And Wallace gives Scott a hard time about not being gay.
Right.
Which is hilarious. Scott says he has a 17-year-old girlfriend and asks Wallace not to tell his sister. The phone rings.
Right.
And it's his sister Stacy, played by Anna Kendrick, just scolding him.
Yeah.
And the camera pans back over to Wallace, and he's just got done texting.
Right. Like everything. Every time he tells him not to tell his sister, like she's already it's just stream of consciousness. Yeah. It's like in one ear and out his fingers.
The next day, Scott and Wallace go to pick up knives from her Catholic school. Yeah. Complete with uniforms and everything.
Yes.
Scott introduces Wallace as my gay roommate. He's gay. Wallace tells Knives she's too good for him and to run. And he's not wrong.
No, not at all.
He's not wrong at all. Despite the age difference, she's still too good for him.
Yeah.
We see Scott and Knives playing a version of Dance Dance Revolution called Ninja Revolution.
They're rolling over each other's backs. And
but it shows that they are in sync. They're playing very well together. Yeah. They stop by a music store. They're it's 2010, so we're still at the CD store here. Knives picks up a CD for a band called Clash at Demon Head with Envy Adams, Scott's ex, on the cover, played by Brie Larson. They signed to a major record deal. Scott hasn't.
Right.
So
Clash
at Demon Head are big time.
So he hates her. Actually, you don't want to listen to that. You don't want that.
He takes it and just throws it.
Right.
And it notably it lands by a copy of Beck's Odelay album. If you look closely.
I wasn't paying attention to that. Makes sense though.
Let's see. Scott shows Knives where he lives, doesn't let her in.
Right.
Like, this is where I live.
Would you rather see where I grew up? Just across the street.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes nowhere in his life.
Scott then hallucinates that he's in a desert.
Yeah.
And in the desert,
I couldn't help but feel this felt like they were making fun of Pirates of the Caribbean when like Johnny Depp has this like hallucination desert thing too.
Yeah.
Probably not, but I felt it did. Anyway, go ahead.
I could see that. I could see Edgar Wright poking fun.
Oh yeah, I can.
And so this woman in the dream with strikingly colored hair, Scott's immediately taken in by her. There's something to this dream.
Yeah, she's on rollerblades.
And Scott says, "So alone," and she rollerblades by and says, "You're not alone. You're just having an idiotic dream." And then within the dream, he says, "Does that mean we can make out?" Which again, that's Scott.
Yeah.
He's only thinking about himself.
Right.
He's only thinking about the moment. There's nothing long term. He's very complacent. Let's see. Scott comes to in the middle of band practice. Although he has seen her at the library as well. So she exists. Sorry, Oz, you were about to say something.
Oh no, it's just like he's been like blackout living his life. Like he's still in this dream but functioning at other things.
Yeah. So she is real. We have confirmation of that. She exists. Then immediately there we cut to a party. Again, this movie just goes and goes.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
goes.
nonstop. There's no load screens in this video game of a movie.
No, it just goes. So we're at a party at Julie's house. Julie, played by the one and only Aubrey Plaza,
who is just a weirdo. Like I love Aubrey Plaza, but even in real life, she's openly like, I'm just a weirdo. Like, and
she basically plays just versions of herself.
Yeah,
and
really. Yeah, she really does. She's out there, and it's great, and I love it.
She was on prior to Halloween. I saw her on Colbert as well as Seth Meyers promoting a kid's book she wrote about a witch. And she came out in this like sexy witch outfit on both shows and was like quasi in character as this witch.
As the witch in her book.
Yeah, like cackling and laughing the whole time and threatening to like boil people and
Well, and it's one of those that we talked about a little bit last week, how Brad Pitt's acting ability is like perfect for like a character actor, but he just looks too good to be a character actor.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza is kind of the same thing. Like she's just so weird that like if she wasn't attractive, you just wonder like what kind of life would she have, you know? Because she's just odd. She's just out there, but at the same time, it's like, you know, she's just, I don't know. It's odd. I love it when people like when they don't fit like your stereotypical norms for how you think a person should act based on how they look or whatever. I love it when they just don't fit, and she doesn't fit.
Well, in both in real life and even this character in a lot of ways, like Aubrey Plaza recognizes who she is and who she's not, and just leans even further into it. Yeah, and brings that level, I think, of self-awareness to most of her roles. So we're at the party. Steven wants to go there because the record executive G-Man might be.
Yeah, he might be.
This mysterious G-Man, who's this big-time record producer.
Right.
Scott doesn't want to go. He gets super whiny. I don't want to go. So they get there, and Scott's talking to this one guy who knows everybody. He holds up this like scribble of a drawing. Have you seen this girl?
Yeah, that's Ramona Flowers.
Yeah, it's something he like just like scribbled in the back of like a cereal box or something.
She has hair like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's her over there. So she's there. She exists. And he goes up and tries to flirt with her. And it just doesn't work, Oz.
No, but
it just doesn't work.
But he doesn't realize it doesn't work, so he just keeps going. Like,
yeah, of course he keeps going. He's stalking her around.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's like just finds out she works at Amazon. Like,
Yeah, finds out she works at Amazon. So he goes home and orders something from Amazon,
right?
just so he can talk to her again.
Just so he could be like a dog and sit at the door waiting for her to show up.
Even literally.
Wallace even calls him out like, "Are you literally waiting for your package?" Yeah, yeah.
Oh God! Yeah, again, this movie just goes and goes and goes. I'm deciding where to jump back in here. So let's just say the doorbell rings and it's her.
Yeah, and she's just as like dismissive and aloof as she was at the party.
And he takes the package from her, just throws it over his shoulder into a garbage can. Perfectly. You don't even know. Yeah. You don't even know what he ordered.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He just picked something. Probably the first thing he saw because that's Scott.
Right.
And he agrees to sign for it if she'll go out with him.
Right.
Yeah. So they go out. They end up walking through the park. She mentions a friend named Gideon.
Yeah.
And like a random door appears in the middle of the park. They walk through it, and they end up back at her place. And
he's cold.
He is. He's very cold.
Because they're in Toronto and it's winter.
Yeah,
it's winter all the time in Toronto.
Which is the gag, that it's always cold everywhere they go.
Always cold.
And they intentionally kind of make it look very Canadian because there's snow everywhere.
Yeah.
And the big goofy hat that he always has on.
Oh, yeah, it's like a lumberjack hat.
Yeah, which is like a safety net for him. You notice every time he has it on, he feels insecure about something.
Yeah. Usually his hair.
So they end up making out. And the next day he invites her to a local battle of the bands that Sex Bob-Omb is going to be playing at. She's kind of disappointed to hear he's a band, but she gives him his number her number anyway. She rollerblades away. The snow melts as she rollerblades, which is a cool little effect.
It was a cool effect.
So that night we're at Battle of the Bands against Sex Bob-Omb. They're trying to get noticed. They're trying to get recognized, at least by Steven. I think Scott's kind of indifferent to it because that's Scott. Scott introduces Ramona to Wallace, and Stacy's there also, and Wallace immediately sizes up Stacy's boyfriend, Jimmy.
Yeah.
He just keeps looking at him, and like the camera keeps cutting back to Wallace, and Wallace is just kind of like, huh.
This seems to be a recurring theme of Wallace and Stacy.
Yep. That Wallace keeps stealing Stacy's boyfriends.
Like, within the hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they're backstage. Sex Bob-Omb is backstage, and Steven's freaking out because he's always insecure, and he just wants to get signed. And
right.
Crash and the Boys, another competing band, plays, and Oz, they have a girl drummer.
Yeah, oh, I know. Much younger than Kim as well.
Yeah.
And Kim is furious at this.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like in Bring It On when the guy who's been peddling the same routine up and down the coast of California, and then like they make like the state final or the national finals, and another like their routine goes on right before Kirsten Dunst's team does, and realize it's the same. So it's like that same setup of like they've got a girl drummer, like that was going to be our thing.
And the girl drummer is like 8.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also love Wallace is heckling this other band from the balcony. He's like, "Is that girl a boy too?" Because the band what's the band in Crash of the Boys? Is that girl a boy too? And the singer just leans on the microphone. Yes. The real life band. There's a real life band that did the music. Broken Social Scene, which is another Canadian band, did the music as Crash of the Boys. So there's your fact note here.
Yeah. Complete with 8-year-old Asian female drummer.
Yes. They have an 8-year-old female drummer also. And at this point, Oz, a man named Matthew Patel breaks through the wall.
He's
in.
Yeah, he's so metro. He's got long bangs and he's flopping his shoulders all over the place. And
eyeliner.
Yeah, and we missed earlier that Scott gets an email from someone challenging him to a fight, but Scott, just because he's pathetic, doesn't take the time. He just skims it. He doesn't take the time to read. we get a picture of him. He's reading it, and then he just goes, "This is so boring." Like, it's just, if it's not entertaining to Scott, he's not interested. And so he's been threatened via email from Matthew Patel that,
well, and warned.
I'm
warned
warned
via email.
I'm coming to you, Scott Pilgrim. And Scott just, I don't have the time to deal with this.
It's Scott. He's aloof. He's narcissistic.
Right. So we get our first evil ex. You know, he shows up at Battle of the Bands, and he needs to fight Scott. Because if Scott's going to be with Ramona, he's got to defeat all 7 of her evil exes first, with Patel being the first. And Scott has no idea what's coming because, again, he didn't read the email, and so he's like, because like he's getting beat up, like, because he's not realizing what he needs to do.
Oh yeah, Matthew's taking it to him.
Yeah, and so it's just, you gotta fight him. You gotta fight him, Scott.
And it turns into a video game-esque fight, the way it's filmed, you know, the effects on the screen.
Yeah, video game / anime, like it's all there. Like if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Street Fighter, or even Dragon Ball Z, or you know that this is right up your alley.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it looks like a video game fight playing out. Fun. You know, motion lines and animation and
health bars and
oh, it's great. And eventually, Scott wins.
Yeah.
And as he defeats Matthew disappears into coins, which Scott says, "Sweet coins."
Starts picking them up. Sweet.
Camera pans back, and all this is inconsequential to the plot. I will say the camera pans back to Stacy and Wallace is making out with Stacy's boyfriend, Jimmy.
She's like, "Not again, Wallace."
Yeah. So you wonder how many times this happened.
She brings her boyfriend around, and Wallace steals it before the night's up.
And Sex Bob-Omb wins Battle of the Bands. Sex Bob-Omb, by the way, the Bob-Omb is a little villain character from the Mario Brothers games.
Yes.
Debuting in Mario 2, if memory serves.
Yep. He's the one that you stand around too close, he starts to flicker and explode. So, yep. There they go. They're the Sex Bob-Ombs.
On the bus ride home, Scott and Ramona talk. Ramona tells Scott, if they're going to date, you have to defeat my 7 exes.
Yeah, it kind of gives him the backstory. Which Scott's reply is, "So we're dating."
Yeah, so he only hears what he wants to hear.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, everything else is inconsequential because Scott's a jerk.
Right.
And he's narcissistic, and it's all about him.
Yeah.
And what his not his needs, what his wants are in the moment.
Right.
So Scott gets home to Wallace. He walks in. There's Seinfeld music playing in a laugh track. Wallace tells Scott, "You got to break up with Knives," because you know Wallace saw Ramona there as well. She was there.
Yeah.
And Scott whines, "But it's hard."
just let me have them both. And of course, he does nothing with either one. He has gone further with Ramona on their first night than he's gone with Knives, which is refreshing considering she's a 17-year-old schoolgirl.
Yes.
But yeah, they go nowhere in their relationship. She's his pal, like I said, she's his gaming buddy. But she's smitten.
She's very smitten with him. But like the most intimate moment you see between Scott and Knives is when they're playing Ninja Revolution.
Right. The first time, the second time, there's no connection.
There's no chemistry. So Wallace tells Scott that I'm going to go see this guy Lucas Lee. He's a famous skateboarder actor.
Right.
They're shooting a movie here in Toronto. I'm gonna go check that out. Yeah. So Scott calls Knives from a phone booth and breaks up with her.
Yeah.
So he manages to do it. Well, actually, I take that back. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. He calls to break up, but she's actually standing right outside the phone booth.
Right. I was describing what he's wearing, and hey.
And then in the record store, they break up.
That's right.
So, in the record store.
Whatever happened to Michael Cera?
You don't see him too much.
No, he had his.
Not recently. Yeah,
he had his blip. Arrested Development. This, Superbad. This Is the End. Like, he was good, and then he just went away.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's waiting for Arrested Development to come back for the 8th time.
Right. Well, and you figure he was very good at his boyishness,
Yes.
and that tends to go away as you get older. So
as you hit middle age,
Yeah,
you
he
can't
may-
pull off boyish as much.
he may have aged out of his
of his wheelhouse.
aged out of his typecasting.
Just starts coming across as creepy at a certain point.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then you embrace it like, I knew I was going to draw a blank. He was Frodo Baggins.
Elijah
Wood.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, I think he had the same kind of thing going, and then he just embraced the creepiness of it and went on to do like horror films and weird indies, and it's like, hey, that's just who he is, and that's cool.
Yeah. So we're at the film set, which is a famous actual castle in Toronto, I guess, that they have filmed several movies at, including the first X-Men movie.
Oh.
So Wallace and Ramona and Scott are there, and Lucas Lee, played by Captain America.
Yep.
Chris Evans comes walking out of a bus.
Human Torch, Chris Evans.
Yes, Human Torch. The Universal Studios theme plays as Lucas exits the bus. Another nice little touch there. Because he's Hollywood, folks.
Oh, yeah. He's big time.
Yeah. Ramona says they used to date in the 9th grade.
Yeah.
And Lucas has this like deep movie star voice. It's me, Lucas Lee.
I love Chris Evans. I love his ability to, like, he just doesn't take himself seriously. Leans into it, has fun with it, and it's great.
This is pre-Captain America.
It is.
This was, I think, the first Captain America movie was 2011. I want to say.
Okay.
So this was, I think, a year before.
But he still knew. But he still knew he was going to be Captain America at this point.
Correct.
You would think. They were filming. You would think that, or at least maybe in development. But he knew he was Captain America while he was filming this movie.
Yes. So they get in a fight. And Scott not only has to fight Lucas, but Lucas's 6 stunt doubles.
Right.
Who are all dressed like him and all look close enough to him.
Close enough.
So Lucas walks off to get a cup of coffee.
while Scott is fighting all 6 at once. And the camera follows Lucas.
Yeah, the camera follows Lucas. It's funny. And then it pans back. I think Scott quips like, "Lee, you're needed back on set." And the camera pans back over, and it's Scott standing over the 6 defeated bodies of the stunt doubles. The film goes widescreen, like wider screen, which is great.
Oh, yeah. You actually see the black bars move.
Yes, yeah.
Multiple times through the movie.
Just in case you're unaware that you're watching a movie, you're watching a movie in a movie now.
Right.
Lucas is beating up Scott. Lucas is taking it to him.
It's not even close. He punches him to the moon.
Yeah. So they end up. Scott kind of lands after he takes a beating by a rail on this like super long staircase.
Yeah.
And of course, Lucas is not only an actor, but he's a famous skateboarder.
No, he's got a skateboard. He's got his own skateboard company.
Yes, he does.
That's how popular he is.
And so Scott asks Lucas, "Can you do a thingy on the rail?"
He's just so pathetic.
Yeah, can you do a thingy? He doesn't know the terms. Do a thingy. But knowing, though, that it would goad Lucas into doing a thingy, to which Lucas gets on the skateboard and goes down the rail, exceeds 300 kilometers per hour, and then crashes into an explosion at the bottom.
Right. And into coins.
Yes, into coins. And so Scott wins.
Yep.
Because Lucas crashed himself.
Because he did a thingy.
He did a thingy. Back at home, Wallace and Scott are there, and Wallace tells Scott, it's time to break out the L word in regards to Ramona. And Scott says, lesbian?
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 No, the other L word.
Lesbians?
Right.
Because again, it's Scott, and Scott's a nobody who only has his own self-interest in mind.
Around this time too, he's like walking by himself and gets attacked by like a ghost.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, her. Her. And she turns out to be Evil X number 4. Yes. But she's kind of getting ahead. She kind of jumps in and starts throwing threats. They don't fight right now because it's out of numerical order.
Yes.
But but Scott has no idea what's coming because he he thinks all of Ramona's evil exes are evil ex-boyfriends. He says that on more than one occasion. He's like, I have to fight your 7 evil ex-boyfriends. She goes, my 7 evil exes. Like she like subtly corrects him that they're just exes. And then of course we get evil ex number 4 being a female, which throws Scott for a loop later on. But yeah, so we're down with evil ex number 2, and then who comes into play?
Well, the band Sex Bob-Omb is asked to open for Clash at Demon Head.
Yes.
Again, fronted by Envy Adams.
Right.
Scott's ex. Not one of the 7. This is Scott's ex.
And she's so baby-faced in this. Like, it wasn't that long ago.
She was like 20 when they filmed this.
I know. Like, it's just weird how you watch enough movies and it's like the actors that play young, which is fine, but then you look at their ages and you're like, you're 20. And I'm like, I've seen 20-year-olds and like, just they don't seem as baby-faced. And, you know, and I mean, everybody develops at different times, but I'm like, you're just so baby-faced, Brie.
Yeah. Baby-face Brie. So Sex Bob-Omb bombs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, they get no applause at the end, to which Steven says, we were Sex Bob-Omb. So at the bar afterwards, Knives is there. Knives, by the way, had texted young Neil.
Yes.
And so she's kind of hooking up with young Neil just to stick it to Scott.
Yeah.
Because Knives is jealous and she's mad, and kind of rightfully so.
Absolutely. Even
I wouldn't
though there
agree with
wasn't
her act.
No,
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of a relationship to get this bitter over. Anyway, however.
But yeah, so Ramona's also there, and so Ramona turns to Scott and says, how old is she? and you see a wheel go around inside Scott's head, like the wheel of responses.
Yeah.
and it lands on a line between 2 of them, and one of the options is what is it? Is I gotta pee.
Yeah.
And the other one is who, her. So out loud he gets them mixed up, and he says, I gotta pee on her. And leaves.
Right. He just walks off.
And then he goes to pee. To which when he pees, you see like the pee status bar go down.
Yes.
And of course it's in yellow also.
Yeah, his health bar is diminishing. His pee health bar.
Yep. Clash at Demon Head then takes the stage, again fronted by Envy Adams. Ramona recognizes the bass player Todd, who's just staring down Scott from the stage.
Oh yeah. I liked this song. Like I liked all the songs in this movie.
Oh yeah, this was a great song.
Yeah.
This was another Canadian band, Metric, who's done some really good stuff over the years. So they did this song. So afterwards, Sex Bob-Omb gets called backstage with Clash at Demon Head.
Oh, it's such an uncomfortable scene.
Oh yeah,
like just stare downs.
Knives is there, and Todd ended up punching Knives at one point.
He's not afraid to hit a girl.
No, we learned that Todd has telekinesis and telepathy.
Yeah, yes, because
because he's vegan.
Because he's vegan, and that just makes him better than you.
So he has like Jean Grey powers.
Oh yeah.
Didn't you know Todd's vegan?
And because he's vegan, it just makes him better than everybody else.
Yeah, he is better than everyone. He's better looking than everyone. He's stronger than everyone. He's a better bass player than everyone. Right. He's just better.
And he's got to fight Scott.
He went to Vegan Academy.
Vegan Academy, yeah.
and Todd's shirt has the number 3 on it, by the way.
Yeah. And Scott's has the word 0 on his.
Yes, I think it's the mid '90s Pumpkins shirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it does have like a double meaning.
Yeah, it has a play in here. But yeah, it's and Todd can see in Scott's mind's eye.
Yeah,
can read his thoughts.
So Todd's just beating up Scott. He's taking it to him.
And Todd's an idiot.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's dense, so dumb.
And he's also he talks a little bit like Lucas Lee, but just kind of dumber and slower.
Right. He's just so. He's like, because he's threatened Scott. He's like, you're gonna have to call the cleaning lady on Monday. And then
Scott's like, okay.
And then has to spend a couple minutes explaining why, because you're gonna be dust. and the cleaning lady cleans up dust. Well, why on Monday? Because she's off weekends. It's very much a Jim Halpert and teasing Dwight Schrute. Yeah, it's just Scott's one step ahead of him mentally, just to keep him going.
So Todd ends up throwing Scott through a wall telekinetically at one point.
Multiple
and then you hear
walls.
Yes, multiple walls. And then you hear a bass line going because both Scott and Todd play bass in their bands. And Todd looks up, sounds like someone wants to get funky. Although I love the way they like the effects with Todd. He just kind of hovers everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's so
and
cool.
He's wearing mostly white with like kind of the black trim in the outfit, and his eyes
go
glow
white. His hair stands. Yeah, it's so cool. He does look cool.
Yeah, he does have a great visual to him. And so they get into a bass battle.
Right.
So they're playing these famous bass lines back and forth at each other. And Todd wins. He's a better bass player than Scott.
By far.
Oh, yeah. So...
throws him through a wall.
Throws him through another wall. And Scott's like, you know what? Here's some coffee. Let's just call a truce.
It's got soy in it.
Yeah. And Todd's like, no, you put half and half in there. I'm vegan.
Right.
And so he takes the other one.
Right.
Which also has half and half. And Scott's like, I just thought really hard about putting half and half in the other one.
Knowing you could read his mind's eye.
Yeah. But also knowing that Todd's a complete idiot.
Right. And then, one of my favorite parts of this movie, too, shows up because, well, Todd's committed a vegan felony. And the vegan police arrive.
The literal vegan police.
They come busted through...
Tom Jane.
Yeah. And like Clifton Collins, who's like all over the place anyway. They come busting through the wall, with they've got like green lasers pointing at their fingers. Like they're the vegan police. And Todd's like, well, don't I get 3 strikes or something like that? And then they recite the different times that you had gelato. You're like, that's not vegan. It's milk and eggs, baby. Scott's just outsmarted him, and Todd can't believe it. Like he's lost his vegan powers.
And for Scott to outsmart someone,
I know
that really says something.
Well, and just show too a little bit about Envy. It's like her previous boyfriend was Scott, and then she's moved on to this guy, and so her taste in men is pretty shallow as well. Very bland.
So Scott headbutts Brandon Routh's Todd into coins, and there goes number 3.
3,000 coins now. Each time he defeats an evil X, it's 1,000 more coins.
Yes. So there's always the same numbers there.
Right.
So at an after party, Scott shares his upset feelings with Ramona, about the X's. Like, why do I have to keep doing this? And Ramona says they all have everyone has baggage. And she calls out Scott's breakups with Knives and Kim.
Right.
And so I think Scott's kind of starting. This is one of the first points in the movie where we see Scott, I think, a little introspective.
A little bit.
Starting to kind of get it. But then out of nowhere, number 4 shows up.
Oh yeah.
Who's number 4 here?
Number 4 is Roxy Richter.
Roxy. Yes.
Roxy Richter, played by her.
Of the great Mae Whitman.
Thank you. I was I totally went real life Arrested Development. Like, what is her name?
Her.
Yeah, Mae Whitman, and she is the lesbian experiment that that Ramona had, and which that turns her south too. It's like, I was just an experiment, and this is full on like. Good for Mae Whitman, because she brought it all to this. Like,
oh, yeah, she did.
Very physical fight. But the difference is, Scott won't hit a girl. And so Ramona then kind of puppets him. She takes his arms and legs or whatever. And it's a really cool fight sequence as, Ramona's fighting Roxy through Scott's body. She's controlling him or whatever. And they're battling. And of course, Scott wins because it's the name of the game, but but it's very, just strobe light-ish, kind of like they're fighting on a disco dance floor kind of thing, and not with all the light up flooring from like Saturday Night Fever, but it's just intense. And this is probably the most like up to this point, kind of anime-esque kind of fight they've had. I mean, it's just very brutal.
Well, Ramona and Roxy get into it at one point, and Roxy takes her belt off, and it's like a whip with the knife at the end.
Yeah.
I know that type of weapon has a name. I don't remember what it is.
I don't know. It's very Mortal Kombat-ish, though.
Yes. And Ramona pulls a giant sledgehammer out. It's so great. Roxy at one point says that she's bi-furious.
It's just everything. I mean, it's hard to say this is a great sequence when like the whole movie is just hit every nail on the head.
Yeah. And the way Scott wins, Ramona says, touch her on the back of the knee, because that's like her.
Yeah, it's like her tickle spot or whatever.
Yeah, and so he just, it's the only physical, I don't know if aggression is the right word, the only time he voluntarily touches Roxy. He literally, with one finger, just pokes her in the back of the knee.
Right.
And then she turns to coins.
Right. It ended her.
Yep. So we're at the next gig. The movie's picking up pace even more. It's just boom, boom, boom here. And Scott ends up going against X's number 5 and 6 simultaneously.
Yes.
And Oz, why are they 5 and 6 and not 5 and 6 separately?
Because they're twins.
Ramona
dated twins at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all visuals. I mean, there's no physical fight here. You've got Sex Bob-Omb on one stage, and you've got the Katayanagi twins on the other, and it's almost like their life forces fighting each other. They're just playing so hard that these like
avatars, these animated avatars.
These like Japanese avatars just fight each other. It's very much. It reminded me a lot of in Lord of the Rings when Gandalf is lighting off the fireworks and one of them turns into a dragon and just comes. It's just very much like that. Like. Like you said, their avatars are fighting each other, and of course, Sex Bob-Omb wins.
Yeah, some great music in the sequence.
Oh yeah,
it's Sex Bob-Omb playing at it's 2 stages facing each other with the crowd in the middle, and they're playing at each other like aggressively, and it's so great. While this is going on,
well, and it's a lot too because you've got instrument playing band versus electronic musicians, and so you've got it's just this really cool standoff of you could argue like what's music. Well, all of it is.
Yeah, there's a couple little moments in here too that show the growth and kind of turn into the third act of the movie as well. Scott slaps Steven for being soft, and Scott is super focused during this. He really kind of takes the lead of the band through this. He's as aggressive as Kim is, and Kim is always a very aggressive in her drum playing. And they also spot G-Man in the crowd, who happens to be Gideon, Jason Schwartzman's Gideon, who is
Evil X number 7.
The 7th X. Yeah. So Scott catches up with Ramona afterwards, and he kind of calls Ramona out a little bit too, because Ramona had called him out earlier for how he treated Kim and knives, and Scott says, I know you play mysterious and aloof to avoid getting hurt. And then he says he doesn't care about her past and that he's in lesbians with her.
Right.
I'm in lesbians with you.
And there's no stronger sentiment to use than that.
Yeah, that's the L word. That's Scott's L word. Probably, I would guess, the first time that Scott in his life has felt love.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Which is why he's searching for the right word to use there.
And felt it is key because it's clear everyone around him cares about him. Mm-hmm. Arguably cares about him, ironically, more than he cares about himself. Although he thinks very highly of himself, he time after time puts himself in such positions to be looked down upon. Yeah. But everybody around him clearly cares about him, or they would have abandoned him years ago.
Mm-hmm. However, Ramona says they have to break up. It's Gideon, and I can't help myself with him. And in the background, the only, and maybe there's others that I'm just not recalling right now, but the only original song, soundtrack song plays that really sticks out to me, and it's Under My Thumb by the Rolling Stones.
Yes. Yep.
Plays as she's getting in Gideon's limo.
Right.
Sex Bob-Omb has also signed with Gideon's label too, Oz. So Scott's not happy about that.
They're kind of under his thumb now too.
Mm-hmm. Scott takes himself out of the band, to which young Neil is now the bass player.
Yeah.
Oh, young Neil.
Young Neil.
Mm-hmm. Let's just cut right ahead to let's see. Basically, Wallace tells Scott, "You've got to go after him. Like you've come this far, you got to go
Right.
after him."
Hey, you've defeated 6 of them. Why stop now?
So Gideon invites Scott over to his new theater there in Toronto, Canada, and Scott goes in.
What was the name of the theater?
Oh,
it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But it was Envy Adams Band had played at one before, and so he built this new one. It's like the Coliseum or something like that. Yeah,
it has some kind of grand name to it.
Yeah, it's got one of those.
And Scott has to go up to the 7th floor.
Yes.
To get there. So he walks in, and Gideon is sitting basically on like a throne almost at the top of like a I'll say a temple.
Yeah.
With Ramona just kind of sitting at his feet, very very passively, very defeated.
Very Princess Leia and Jabba's Jabba's palace.
Scott challenges Gideon to a fight. Says he's in love with Ramona. He pulls a flaming sword from his chest, and you get a video game-esque. Right. Scott has earned the power of love. I'll pause for a moment here. Bill Hader did every voiceover in the movie.
I read that. I did read that. When I was going through characters to make sure I got them all, I saw Bill Hader did the voiceovers. I was like, fitting. I love
any
Bill
voiceover,
Hader.
Whether it was this or whether it was from Ninja Revolution, anytime you hear a disembodied voice in the movie, it's Bill Hader.
Well, why wouldn't it be? That dude's everywhere.
Yeah, he is. Gideon orders Kimberly and Sex Bob-Omb to play. They're clearly less enthusiastic than normal.
Right.
Scott does kind of a video game-esque run up the stairs at Gideon. Gideon pulls a sword. And, Gideon disarms him. Scott goes flying. So things aren't looking good for Scott here.
No. Matter of fact, you defeat Scott. But earlier in the movie, where Scott started to gain a little bit of introspective on what's going on, a little like Mario 1-up mushroom showed up. And he grabs it and someone's, "What are you doing?" "I'm getting a life." And so after Gideon defeats Scott, Scott remembers as he's kind of tumbling through, nothingness, that he remembers he's got that extra life. So movie kind of rewinds, and we have the same, we do the like when he's walking up to Gideon's, this new concert venue or whatever, and they keep asking what the passwords are. Like, what's the password? Okay, you're in.
And that's it, yeah.
Like the password is just these like really...
like a sigh.
Yeah, just nothingness. Well, of course, in the replay, Scott just like punches his way through these security guards. Yeah. And Scott has now earned the power of self-respect.
Yep. Pulls another sword out. Ramona has revealed that she literally has a chip in the back of her neck.
Yeah.
That he literally is controlling her. He's literally in her head.
Right.
And this time they fight, and Scott defeats Gideon.
He does.
Takes him out. Knives has shown up also, and initially she attacked Ramona because she was blaming Ramona for Scott breaking up with her, and Scott's like, "No, it was me.
Yeah.
I did this." Scott also apologized the second time through. He apologized to Kim for how he treated her in the past.
Yeah, he really grew up a lot in this getting a life sequence.
Yep. He gave young Neil his permission to now be the bass player in Sex Bob-Omb.
And you've elevated yourself to the status of Neil.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. He's no longer young Neil. He's just Neil.
You can drop the young with Scott's permission, of course. Like, he's such a jerk.
He tells Steven the new band rocks, to which Steven is just elated because that's all Steven wants is just affirmation.
Yeah.
And Scott's taking it to Gideon, but let's see. Gideon swallows his gum at one point. It's gonna stay in my system for 7 years. Number 7 again.
I remember being told that as a kid.
Yeah.
Don't swallow your gum; it sticks to your ribs for 7 years.
Exactly. Gideon knocks Ramona down. She's glowing red because when you're glowing red in a video game, you're on. You're at your last health bar.
You're about dead.
To which Scott and Knives then team up and take down Gideon.
Oh, yeah. It's really cool sequence, too.
Yeah, and just like in the beginning, the first time they were playing Ninja Revolution, they're right in sync with each other. Yep. Perfect chemistry. They're They're working very well as a team. And then Scott kicks Gideon into coins.
Yep.
And he earns
wins.
like 7 trillion points or whatever. And that's, they leave, and
Scott and Knives have a moment.
Yeah.
Where I think Scott, with the fight against Gideon with Knives, he kind of realizes that this whole movie, like, Knives has been the perfect one for him. And he kind of opens up to her a little bit, and she, being the more mature one, despite being 5 years younger, basically shuts him up and is like, go get her. Like, you've
been fighting for her.
You've been fighting for her this whole time. Go be with her. And so he does.
Yeah. He catches up with her, and that same doorway appears from their first date, and they walk through it. Credits roll.
Yep, the end.
And that, folks, is Edgar Wright's 2010 Scott Pilgrim versus the World. What a fun movie, guys.
And, we probably could have talked about it more in depth for another hour and still not gotten everything out. And so if you haven't seen it, sorry we just spoiled it, but go see it. Like, we still haven't done it any justice. It's definitely... definitely worth a watch.
Well, that is kind of our bit, is to spoil movies.
A little bit. If you're here on episode 18 not realizing that we're going to give away the plot to the movie we're talking about, sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
So at this point of the show, Oz and I give our own unique rating to the film that we have discussed. Oz, what rating would you give to Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
7 evil Exes.
7
all
evil
7.
Exes?
Yep, I would sit down with all 7 evil Exes and watch this movie with them all.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to alter my rating because mine was also on an evil Exes scale. I'm gonna go with 7 trillion coins.
There you go, 7 trillion.
I give this movie 7 trillion coins.
Yeah, when you defeat the big boss Gideon, that's what you'll receive, is 7 trillion coins.
7 trillion coins.
Fair enough.
And we close the show with the 3, 2, 1, folks, where Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie we've been discussing. Oz, you want to kick things off with your 3 goods?
Absolutely. This movie is just so much fun. I'll admit it's not for everybody. I mean, if you're into 8-bit video games, comic books, anime, this one's for you. It's funny, it's enjoyable. It's fairly clean, even. I mean, the violence is there, but it's so cartoonish. There's no blood. Like, the language is fine. I watched it with, I watched this movie with my 7 and 11-year-olds, and they enjoyed it. They really, the stuff that's supposed to go over their head went over their head. And if they're old enough to understand it, well, then they're probably old enough to watch this movie. So it is so much fun. 2, just Edgar Wright's creativity. We were talking pre-show, about just how wonderful a piece of work is when the creator can get their visual idea out for the world to see. And I think Edgar Wright just nailed it here. We know the vast majority of the movies, a lot of them happen in front of a camera, or they're saved by special effects and editing or something like that. And Edgar Wright has just married everything that was in his head. It's all on screen. And it looks great. You hear James Cameron at times, like, he'll have an idea for a movie, but he won't make it until technology has caught up to it. I feel like Edgar Wright has just harnessed everything that was at his disposal and made the movie he wanted to make. And it's excellent. It's just an excellent movie. In 3, I love the Lucas Lee movies and taglines. Love them. I've got them listed here.
The fake movies. We didn't mention that before.
Yes, I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we didn't.
The skateboarding actor, but you get a moment where you see some movies that he's made already.
Right, in poster form. Very much like the end of, like, 22 Jump Street, where they just keep putting him in. So there's 5 of them I'm going to name off here. One of the movies is Action Doctor. With the
I think that one's my favorite.
With the tagline, the good news is you're going to live. The bad news is he's going to kill you. Another one is The Game Is Over 2. One good cop is finished fooling around again. Movie 3, Thrilled to Be Here. Jay Spencer is awesome. "You're welcome." That's the tagline. This reminds me of how we were joking around last week about the Action Jackson poster and tagline.
Yeah.
Your movie 4. This is a romance movie with his face on the poster. Let's hope there's a heaven. The tagline: "Kiss me, I'm dying." And and then the last one is you just don't exist. Tagline: "Cole Hazard just got a call saying he has 89 minutes to live." From himself. It's just so dumb, and each one of these posters looks like Action Doctor, look like a Fast and the Furious type post. They're just all these posters.
It calls back to a real franchise.
Oh, I know, and they're just so dumb and so fun, but I love them all. Those are my 3 goods.
My 3 goods, I love the premise of battling the 7 evil exes. There's something, it gives just enough like linearness to a movie and a plot that is not very linear.
Oh yeah.
But it not only it gives structures, it's just fun because you get something to look forward to. It's like you see the different personalities and they each kind of tell a part of Ramona's past.
Well, and they do that in such a cool form too. Mm-hmm. It's like straight out of the Scott Pilgrim comics. Like it just looks really cool.
So it's fun storytelling, the way that they do that with the X's. My second good is the scene with the Katanyagi twins. I thought was just the music was amazing. The visuals were great. Again, Scott's really coming into his own as a person, as a leader, as a friend, and it's just such a fun sequence. Mm-hmm. It's all visual because I guess the actors who played the twins spoke very little English.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me.
So it was all just stage directing and whatnot,
right.
but just a fun scene that also kind of bridged that gap from the X's. And by the way, the twins, their amp goes up to 11.
Oh, very.
both as a reference to Spinal Tap and 5 + 6 equals 11.
There you go. There you go. I caught the 11, but I wasn't thinking of 5 + 6.
Mm-hmm. My last good is just the music in the movie is amazing. Oh, I love it. Again, and it's Beck doing Sex Bob-Omb's music. It's Metric doing Clash at Demon Head. So Broken Social Scene has some stuff in there. Sloan, which is a great.
Oh, I love Sloan.
Canadian kind of power pop, power rock band has some stuff in there. Oh, it's great. They called in the heavy hitters of music, and it just what a great soundtrack of music to this movie. Oz, what are your 2 bads?
My first bad is Scott is just not a good person.
No, he's not.
He's emotionally stunted, he's selfish, he's immature, and it just seems like his ability to play bass is what keeps landing him all these hot girlfriends. Because really, like, his track record of love in this movie, like, Kim Pine's attractive, Knives Chow's, as cute as a button, Envy Adams, of course, is big time, and even Ramona. Like, all these actresses are beautiful, and Scott's not worthy of any of them. He's just not a good person. He does, I don't know. He's such a trashy character that did he really redeem himself by the end? That's neither here nor there, but it's just, it's a testament to the filmmakers when your protagonist is a bad person, and you still root for them.
Well, and the
and
irony
all of his friends know it too.
Yeah.
Like
the irony is he wouldn't have grown had he not been basically stalking Ramona at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have he wouldn't have given himself the opportunity to to grow as a person.
Yeah, and my second bad is just Scott's inability to grasp why dating a high school girl is wrong.
Yeah,
when literally everyone in his life is telling him so.
Well, it was easy, and Scott always takes the easy route.
Right, and granted, it didn't. He clearly wasn't like grooming her or taking advantage of her, because their relationship was nothing more. Like they almost kissed once, or they held hand, or they played video games. Like it was very much, a high school relationship that he was just older than. And I'm just glad that they cast an actress, Ellen Wong, who's actually 3 years older than Michael Cera, despite playing someone 5 years younger. And so that was my second bad, was just like a little cringy, but the movie didn't gloss over it either. Like every opportunity they got to throw it in Scott's face, they did.
So my two bads, my first one, I have this one in all caps, more Mae Whitman.
Oh, she was so good.
Yeah, the Roxy Richter character. Mae Whitman is amazing in everything I've seen her in. She was great in Arrested Development. One of the shows that I've watched with Melissa recently is Good Girls. She's great in that show too. Like it's a strong cast, and I would argue she gives the best performance in that. Mae Whitman's the best, and her character, just there wasn't enough Mae Whitman in here,
right.
And I think that was intentional, in that her character was kind of supposed to be the overlooked one.
Yeah, I could see that, being the only non-boyfriend of the evil exes.
Yeah, she was like kind of a blip on Ramona's radar,
she was clearly the angriest of all of them too.
Well, it's because she knew she was the blip on the radar, and I could understand being mad about that.
Like
I was the experiment.
Yeah, to her, Ramona was far more important to Roxy than Roxy was to Ramona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just more Mae Whitman, although I get why the character wasn't featured as heavily. And the other one, I'm going to combine a couple of mine here. It's a movie that I'm curious as to what Jenny's reaction to this movie was. Melissa didn't want to watch it with me. She'd seen it before, and it's a movie that it can be a little dizzying at times, just because it's so frantic in its storytelling and in its visuals. And it's also it makes fun of hipster culture while being hipster culture, while not being hipster. So I know with Melissa, she finds it kind of annoying because of that. And so I can understand how this movie could come across as annoying or hard to follow or annoyingly hard to follow, if you want to combine those things as well. What was Jenny's take on this?
I mean, Jenny had watched this with me once before, and she did make it through. And I love Jenny's reaction because we don't dive deep into something. If we watch something and we like it, then she'll be like, "That was good," But if we watch something and she'll muscle through it, but if it's bad, she'll just finish and be like, "Well, that was dumb." And so for Jenny, I mean, I really think it's because she's just not the demographic for this movie. She's not a comic book fan. The only comic book she's ever read in her life is The Walking Dead. And that's just because I put it in front of her. And the music, this isn't her kind of music. She's not a gamer. And so there's so many boxes that just aren't checked for her. But she wasn't dismissive of the movie. It just wasn't for her.
Sure,
she didn't.
That makes sense.
She didn't find anybody annoying. Because I mean, granted, we've watched movies together where we finish it. Like The Last Dragon, I watch it and she's like, "This movie is stupid." I'm like, "I know it's stupid. That's why it's great." But
another movie Melissa hates as well.
Yeah, and really for this one, I think it's fine. It's just not for me. So
yeah, sure. All right, Oz, what's your
what genre is this film?
Yes, that's the genre. Yes.
Yeah, and I elaborate here. This movie bombed at the box office. I think the budget was $60 million, and it worldwide only took in like $48 million, and none of that includes marketing and distribution and things like that. So I mean, the movie was a bomb. Easily probably the first bomb of Edgar Wright's career, despite it being clearly like a dream project for him. And so, but one of the, I'd read that one of the reasons why this probably bombed is because Universal just didn't know how to market it. What genre is this film? It's a comic book movie that doesn't fit, your Iron Man, type superhero comics. It's based on a Japanese, manga, but other than knives, there's no Asian actors in the movie, and the twins at the end. It's like it's a romance, but it's not romantic. It's it's just how do you know what genre is the film? So that's my is what genre would you place it in? It's
That's
a comedy, but
Yeah.
it's and you mentioned earlier that it's a hipster movie, but it's making fun of hipsters. Another movie that I think is brilliant in that regard, not necessarily with hipsters, is, and I mentioned earlier, Bring It On, where Bring It On, it was like a magnum force when it came out, because if you were a cheerleader, you loved the movie. And if you weren't if you hated cheerleaders, you loved the movie, because they simultaneously made fun of cheerleading while being a cheerleading movie.
Yeah, while celebrating it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was such a fun movie when it came out, because it was like, every stereotype that you laughed at cheerleading for was in the movie, but yet cheerleading's all over the movie. So this is kind of that same regard of, who's it for? Well, it's for us.
Yeah.
How about you? What's your
My is, why do Scott and Wallace and all of Wallace's boyfriends sleep in the same bed?
At the same time?
Yeah, at the same time.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Wallace and the boyfriends are like having sex while Scott's there, but like, it's just, I mean, I think there's more than one room in the place.
At one point, Scott's sharing a mattress on the floor with Wallace and Wallace's boyfriend Scott.
Yeah.
Wallace is talking to Scott, and Scott goes, "Huh, not you."
Yeah.
He's talking to the
right.
other Scott, and but again, like you said, Scott's so self-centered that whatever,
He's whatever. It's a bed to sleep in and a warm body to cuddle up next to, I guess.
Across the street from the house I grew up in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I probably have a bedroom across the street, but I'm going to live here and sleep on the floor.
Yeah. There's no trauma there at all, I'm sure.
No, none at all.
All right. Well, that's Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
There we go. Yeah.
So what do we got on tap for next week?
Next week, we are going to watch another movie about music, but a very different stance on things. It's a movie with Nick Offerman called Hearts Beat Loud.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slower, less special effects, just as much fighting evil exes, though.
Yes, just as much choreographed fighting,
right? And far less Meg Whitman, but Mae Whitman, not Meg Whitman. Wrong person.
Her?
Yeah. So you can catch us on social media at all the usual spots. You'll find the links down below. You can also subscribe and YouTube and podcasting channels and tell your friends and all the stuff. Legends of the Fall was a hit last week.
Yeah, it was.
Became our number 3 downloaded episode in less than a day. It just
people love emotionally damaged Brad Pitt.
They love peak meat. It is
peak meat.
Let me real quick here. Episode downloads. It is of all time.
I think we're fighting Joe Rogan right now, aren't we?
We are.
We're catching up to Rogan.
Yes, we are. It is our number 2 episode of all time. 1 download behind our debut episode, which I'm sure people just started and didn't finish.
Yeah. They're just telling the plot. They're not doing anything else.
So I think Legends of the Fall is probably like a legit people. Like if you're just tuning in at episode 17, you're late. Episode 1, I understand we hoodwink some people into listening. We want to see what this is all about. But that's probably 47 pure listeners. But yeah, you can catch us everywhere you download your podcasts and all your social media sites as well. We will be back next week for week 2 of 5 movies about music in March with Hearts Beat Loud. Curtis, you gonna sign off with anything?
Oh, no, just had a great time with Scott Pilgrim, and we look forward to catching up with you next week, folks.
All right, well, you guys have a good rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Take care.